Duct systems are logical entities that facilitate calculations for flow and sizing of ductwork. Duct systems can be created in two ways. One way is to simply add duct to connect the airside components, and they will automatically be added to a duct system. The other way is to select the components and manually add them to a system. Then you can have Revit generate and lay out the ductwork. In this example, we'll cover the steps to manually create a duct system. In the south portion of Level 2, I have begun laying out an airside system. A duct system consists of one or several target connectors and one source connector. Typically, a source connector is on the mechanical equipment and represents a fan, while the target connectors are air terminals. To create a duct system, I'll first select an air terminal. When I do, the ribbon changes to the Modify Air Terminals contextual ribbon. On the Create Systems panel, I'll select Duct. Revit displays the Create Duct System dialog. Here, you can select the system type and give the system a name. By default, there are three system types for duct: supply air, return air, and exhaust air. However, you can create custom system types to handle the needs of the airside systems in your project. Since there are not any custom types, Revit realizes this is a supply system, and that is the only option available. You can also select whether or not to open the system in the System Editor. I'll leave this checkbox cleared and name the system WSHP-2-1 to match the mechanical equipment serving the air terminals. Then I'll click OK. When I do, the system is created, but only the air terminal is added to the system at this point. In the contextual ribbon, I'll click Edit System. Revit enters into Edit Duct System mode, and everything on the screen goes dim except for the components in the duct system. Also, Add to System is selected by default in the Edit Duct System panel of the contextual ribbon. So I can begin selecting components with target connectors to add to the system. As you can see, each time I select an air terminal, the element becomes bold, and I can easily see which components I have selected. If I select a component by mistake, I can select Remove From System in the contextual ribbon and then select a component to remove. Once all target components have been selected, I can select the source component by clicking Select Equipment in the Edit Duct System panel of the contextual ribbon. With this tool active, I'll select Water Source Heat Pump 2-1. When I do, the System Equipment drop-down in the Options bar now displays the mechanical equipment element that I just selected. If you were to select the equipment with the Add to System tool active, Revit would think that there is another piece of equipment that should supply air to the heat pump. That would be incorrect, and you would need to remove it. With all the components selected, I'll click Finish Editing System. As you can see, each element in the system has turned blue. Also, when I select one of the air terminals that belong to the duct system, two contextual ribbons display. Looking in the Properties palette, you can see the system name under the Mechanical section. Once you have several duct systems created, you may forget which air terminal is part of which system. I'll switch to the Duct Systems contextual ribbon. Now the Properties palette populates with the System properties. In the ribbon, in the System Tools panel, you can see the system name in the System selector. Also, if you want to edit the system, you can select Edit System to return to Edit Duct System mode. Additionally, if you had not selected the source connector or equipment for the system, you could choose Select Equipment Now in order to do so. And if you wanted to disconnect the equipment from the system, you could choose Disconnect Equipment. I'll select Edit Type in the Properties palette. Revit displays the Type Properties dialog for the duct system. As you can see, the type is currently set to Supply Air. If you want to create additional types, you could select Duplicate. Then you can change parameters for that system type, such as graphic overrides, material, calculations, and rise drop symbol. For example, for supply air systems, you may have high pressure and medium pressure duct systems that you want to display differently. I'll click Cancel to close the dialog. In order to see each system in the project, you can look in the System Browser. To open the System Browser, switch to the View ribbon. In the Windows panel, expand the User Interface drop-down and select the checkbox next to System Browser. This opens the System Browser, which is organized in a tree structure. Currently, the view is set to Systems and All Disciplines. However, you could change this to Zones or filter the view by a discipline. In the Unassigned branch, you can see that there are several items that have not been assigned to a system. I could continue expanding the branches in order to see the specific items. When an element is placed in the model with some type of connector, it is organized in the System Browser under Unassigned, depending on the type of connector. Then, once it has been added to a system, it is organized based on the type of system. For example, when I expand the Mechanical branch, I can then expand the Supply Air branch and see the mechanical equipment for the system we just created. When I expand that branch, the system name appears. When I expand the system, each target component appears. The flow and size for each item are also displayed. Realize that when I highlight an element in the tree, it is highlighted in the model. This is hard to see with the Supply Air system, since each element has turned blue, and Revit highlights selected elements in blue. When dealing with this, you may wish to change the color of selected elements in the Options dialog. Also, notice that when I select the mechanical equipment in the tree, several other branches highlight. This is because the equipment has several other connectors that fall under one of the other categories. Since this is a water source heat pump, there are obviously water connections under piping, and the equipment will need power, so there is a power connector under electrical. Additionally, there is a return air connector that is not part of a system. So as you can see, creating systems can become very complex. They should be used for your benefit. However, you do not have to create a system for every single connector. But be aware that when you connect these items together, a system will automatically be created.